this public bullshit that Pablo Hidalgo has suddenly appeared in. Um, it's very interesting to me because, again, like I said, he's been silent for a year. Now all of a sudden he's back there. Unless, of course, we have people on the inside passing Star Wars theory and the rest of us information I don't know in Pablo's tweets. The thing I can safely say is this. The guy, I think about a year ago, maybe over a year ago, maybe a little less than a year ago, had a public snit. And if anybody thinks he's not emotional, oh, he is. You just haven't noticed that he, well, he's, I mean, I'm going to say this is going to sound kind of rude and racist, but he's from Latin America. So he's got that emotional fire in his blood. And he had a snit and suddenly disappeared. And I remember Ichibaka saying, well, he'll be back. I said, no, he won't be. Something hit me in the gut and said, he got bit hard by someone on the up above him. And he's less than an executive than somebody's and a lapdog than he is someone who actually has the means and the opportunity to really create decisions. He can only suggest, and then they run with whatever he suggested, and they have for a long time. This stupidity with the High Republic, that's his baby. Okay, Avar Chris is his baby. All this shit is his baby. I mean, these asinine novels that have come out, Last Shot, Chuck Wendig's horrible Aftermath trilogy, anything that Claudia Fatso Gray put out there, Justina I Hate White Men, Ireland, any of that shit, that was his baby. He was the one that he looked at those authors. That's a story group. He's the head of the story group. But he went to ground for over a year, maybe a little less than a year, but he's not been around, and suddenly this comes public. Now, if you're on Twitter, I want you to go and look at his Twitter account. I want you to go look at his bio, because I'm the only one who's saying it says retired. Okay? It's the only thing that says it. It's the only place I've seen that anything about, the hoped for departing of Pablo from Lucasfilm is that. Okay. It's just weird. All of this is really weird, and it's coming out now. I'm going to say this. 75% of me says that's a troll. I've said this before. But considering what Disney's going through financially, 25% of me says it doesn't surprise me. Because if you look at what they've been doing, they have been letting people like him go. With his price tag, he costs a little bit more than the average cast member. Okay, he hasn't produced anything that has actually brought money in. All right, and if anything's a black hole of suck at Disney right now in the studios, it's Lucasfilm. Despite what the SJWs are saying, despite what the naysayers are saying, and I do agree with Stephen Walton on this. SJWs and the people who I call fans who like anything that has Star Wars on it, poop sniffers. All right, Disney could stamp Star Wars on a great big pile that my dog or my horse laid, and these people be like, "Ooh, that smells so good. That's such a great Star Wars." I mean, the Mike Zeros of the world. Okay, the people who won't call them out and say, "Hey, what the hell?" Disney's making money. No, they're not making money. I mean, sure, they've got Disney Plus, but it's not going to be profitable for a long time. It takes a long time for a project like that to get to a point where it's actually putting money in the profit margin. Okay, let me explain how this works. Just because you have a project and it goes really well, it takes a lot of costs before you actually see a profit. Okay, the place where they always make money are the parks. Disneyland is closed, period, full stop. Disney World's open, but there's not enough money there and not enough people are showing up to make the parks, that park, profitable. Disney is in a cul-de-sac of hell right now as far as financial issues are going on. Okay, so let's put this in perspective before we go. Pablo's still there. No, no, no. I mean, he probably is, but do we know that for sure? Do we? All right. I know Itchy will go like, well, you don't know that. You're right, I don't know that. But you don't know that either. Okay. What a man does is more important than what he says. Okay. He literally puts retired in his bio on Twitter. Now he's probably trolling, but again, look at what's going on with Disney and who they're actually letting go now. They've let go cast members, they've let go service people, and now they're going after executives. And what has Pablo done to actually bring in a profit to Disney? Because ultimately, Disney's sole reason for existence, my friends, is to bring in dividends and profits to the investors. Okay? The investors right here are the most important people. Okay? Way more important. If you don't satisfy me as a customer, I'm not going to partake of your product. You won't sell that product. You'll end up selling it to Ollie's discount or, dollar store. All right? And you won't make any money on it. Hasbro's not making it. Where are the sequel trilogy characters? I saw a Dark Ray. Let's put it this way. I would love to see what Dark Ray sold versus what the Jaina Solo EU character, EU 6-inch figure sold. Because I guarantee you, Jaina Solo kicked its ass. All right. They're not selling them anymore. They're not selling the sequel trilogy characters anymore. I really, really doubt that they're ever going to, if they do this, they're stupid. Hasbro is just throwing good money after bad. That they're going to make any Black Series figures for the High Republic. None at all. But I see Darth Nihilus. I see Revans. I wouldn't doubt we'll see Bastila Shan. I wouldn't doubt we'll see a Mara Jade. All right? Because the people who collect this stuff are people our age. SJWs don't. I asked the other day, I asked Aurelio, how many times did you see The Rise of Skywalker or TLJ at the theater? Once. Okay. How many figures did you buy? None. Okay. What was the smartest thing George Lucas ever did? He made sure that when he made the deal with Fox, that he had the merchandising rights to Star Wars. All right? There's a reason why he's a billionaire. It's because he knew it would resonate. And he took a chance. All right? That's where you make all the money. That's where the profit comes from. All right, Kenner, Hasbro, Sideshow toys and collectibles and hot toys. All right, Bandai. That's where you make it all. Disney, A, because their licensing ideas suck. Okay. B, because they're so worried about their trademarks and all the rest of this shit being violated. It's just, they don't know. They don't know the first thing, A, about marketing, and the second thing about licensing and merchandising at all. When Baby Yoda showed up, that could have actually saved a lot for them, and they missed the boat big time. All right? But you got Pablo sitting there, the person who helped basically force the decanonization of the EU. Not that the EU was completely canon, but George Lucas himself did use a lot from it. All right? And he was the one who okayed each and every story. Okay? You've got him making the EU disappear. You've got him attacking the fans. Do you all remember the story about him being on a podcast and after it was over, basically trashing the EU and attacking the fans who liked it and saying they were getting rid of it? The guy who was listening in basically told everyone what Pablo said. The guy got chased off the podcast. He was left the internet. Okay. And of course, you know, Pablo's attacked all of us. I mean, I remember when I made the video about daddy hate porn and him mocking me for that. Well, that's what TLJ is. I mean, you know, I think Pablo forgets that people out there that don't like what they've done, Pablo forgets that we're a lot smarter than he is, and we know more about Star Wars. Okay, I did study propaganda techniques of the left when I was in college. Ever see Battleship Potemkin? TLJ was a giant, poorly made piece of propaganda, by the way. Poorly. TFA was a lazy, basically fuck you to the OT characters. I don't care what anybody says. It was. It was a shit movie. All right. Tross, while it tries in vain to fix TLJ, it just totally missed the mark. It absolutely, I mean, you know, God knows what was on what was left on the cutting room floor. I do believe that there's probably a slightly better version of it. I do believe that story that one of the money guys, you know, the people who don't bullshit, the real serious people, you know, the people who actually care about profit and loss, you know, those guys. I I think that somebody like that did see JJ and Luke George's, you know, version, and I'm sure they went ballistic. All right, well they would have made something on this movie had they used that one, but of course, Kennedy is a moron. I mean, she's the beast of Buchenwald for Hollywood, and of course, Pablo's the fat commandant, fat concentration camp commandant. You know, he and this is, you know, this is the thing is if he's still there, why? You know, he's basically attacking fans for liking one of the few decent things that company's made since Disney bought it. You know, and to me, it could mean anything. I mean, he could just, you know, Eckhart's Ladder, yes, I'm calling him out, trying to defend him, say, well, it's just Pablo. You know, that's his dry sense of humor. No, it's not. It's a cruel, nasty, nasty thing to say. Okay? Nasty. All right? It's frickin', you know, but again, there are people out there who really want to lap up any of the garbage. We'll give you free tickets. We'll let you come to the premiere. I've been to a movie premiere. Big, fat, hairy deal. Okay? They're not that big of a deal. All right? You meet those people, you go to a private premiere, and that's where you have fun. You don't go to the public one. You know, it's just, but anyway, let's go back to what I was talking about. What does Pablo know about any of this? He's an SJW. He's a red diaper baby. Now, what is a red diaper baby? A red diaper baby, you know, like Sean Penn. He's a red diaper baby. His father was on the Hollywood blacklist. Okay, so you know that Sean Penn's a communist, right? I mean, you know, there's plenty of photos of him running around Venezuela with, you know, blowing Hugo Chavez, for Christ's sakes. That's what Pablo Hidalgo is, okay? That's exactly what he is. All right. They don't understand you have to make a profit. You have investors to satisfy. You have shareholders you're responsible to, okay? You don't just get to, you know, money doesn't just come flying in and out of your life like snow. You actually, I don't know, gotta earn it. And it doesn't, to him, it's not important. It's getting out the anti-capitalistic, anti-white, Western culture, Marxist message. And if you ever talk to him, I mean, I've got several of his bios screenshotted. One where he's attacking weirdly billionaires. They're all leftists. They're all, you know, Jeff Bezos is a communist. So is, I mean, George Soros. I mean, the only billionaire I can see who's not is Donald Trump. And then, of course, you've got the Koch brothers who don't do anything. You know, I mean, They don't. I mean, it's funny. If you are a person on, I'm going to say the right, even though I don't really think there is really any right or left, and you have a lot of money, you're a coward. You do not want to lose your money. You're a coward, and you won't stand up. But if you're a leftist, you go in all in. I mean, look at Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, he spent millions of dollars on the last election. You've got Bill Gates who wants to kill, I would say, a good 90% of the human population. I mean, with whatever. I mean, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I don't like that guy, and I have a lot of reasons why. And I think Jeff Bezos is a piece of shit. Period. Full stop. I don't care. I only use Amazon because I have to. Other than that, all right. But let's talk a little more about what's going on. So, Paulo hates billionaires. Okay. Pablo wants to guillotine rich people. The eat the rich thing that all lefties kind of, even though they got money. Pablo, attacked me personally. He's attacked Jeremy at Geeks and Gamers. He's attacked Ethan Van Sciver, and they had a tete-a-tete going on back and forth. It was friendly, but Pablo, if you get Pablo's attention, he's not going to be friendly. Okay, everything that he says is going to be shitty. Now it'll be hidden with his dry sense of humor, according to Eckhart's ladder, but he's a shitty human being. Okay, so let's go and see what he said about Star Wars Theory's reaction video to seeing Luke. Emotions shouldn't be public, or something like that. I mean, you saw the tweet. That's not funny. That's not a joke. These fans are assholes. Now, if you're Pablo and you see everything that you've done is just be a massive failure, and yet you see Jon Favreau within 2 years starting something new and literally creating a whole new Star Wars universe with which to remap everything, because you, Pablo, and the rest of the little gang of red shirts running around Lucasfilm fucked up so bad. You would be jealous, you'd be bitter, and you'd be angry. And that stuff is definitely what he said about Star Wars Theory and fans in general is bitter, jealous, angry, and he knows he's a failure. Period. Full stop. That's exactly what that says. And but the other question that no one seems to ask, you go look at his bio. You've all seen it. If you've come on my channel, you've seen it. I will put it in the community page so you can see it. Retired, having fun. 75% of me says it's a troll. 25% says no. A friend of mine, you saw him on OG Star Wars, and you've seen him on Geeks and Gamers, and you've seen him talk to other people. Cameron Pasha, he says Luke Skywalker killed everything that Pablo created. They can't go back to Jake Skywalker. They can't go. I mean, I don't care how bitter you are towards Disney. It's almost like you want it to happen so you have something to complain about. I have to ask, are you really a happy person? If you need that to make you happy, okay? Because I can't see the Luke we saw. I can't see the Luke we saw at the end of Mandalorian season 2, become Jake Skywalker. It just doesn't make any sense. And as someone who does right, the only place that character can go is grow in wisdom, grow in confidence, and grow as an adult man. You're looking at Luke Skywalker as an adult, grown, fully formed man. Okay? That is a retcon. I don't care what anyone says. That was a retcon itself. And Pablo's reaction to that is obviously unhappy. Why? I explained it to you why. He hates, I mean, I don't know how this guy ever worked for George Lucas, but he did. He is angry. He's bitter. He's upset. He he probably every idea he ever had for Star Wars was probably shot down. My thing is that he's never been a Star Wars fan. Now, if you think about it, what kind of family did he have growing up? They were running away from Chile and Augusto Pinochet when Pinochet was running around making commies disappear. All right. Hey, Platypus, how you doing? He was running around making, Pinochet was running around making commies disappear, and his family left. I think I think his mother's Canadian, or he's 100% Chilean, and they immigrated to Canada, and then he immigrated to the United States, and he did some geeky stuff, and he got hired by Lucasfilm. This is a guy who's not grateful for anything he has. This is a guy who's not happy and thankful for having the opportunity to work at that place. He didn't go there because he loves Star Wars. He went there to basically reform it, reset it. Okay. He's not a fan. Okay. He's not a fan. The health of the franchise didn't matter to him as much as it did him setting up Rose Tico preaching anti-capitalist crap at Vice Admiral Dyke Haldo. Okay. I mean, that's what he wanted. That's what they've set up. That's why he hires cows like Claudia Gray and Justine Ireland. That's why he hired angry little smurfs like Daniel Jose Older. That's why I hate all, Republicans and want them all to die. Chuck Wendig. That's why. All right? That's the story group. He heads that. Okay? That's why we get really awful writing by Charles Soule about Avar Chris hearing the Force like a song. I mean, and I'll tell you something else. A lot of the writers, we had Kevin Anderson and Troy Denning talking about how bad the entire sequel trilogy was out loud now. That's weird. You'd think they'd kind of be quiet. You've got Foster talking about how bad TLJ was and retconning it and his own version of what it should have been. You've got, and I have his novel, The Force Awakens, and to me, it's literally the weakest piece of crap on the planet. It's up there with Justin Press's, not Justin Press, Jason Press, I think that's who wrote the TLJ novel. I mean, it's right up there with that kind of steaming pile of shit. Okay? The entire sequel trilogy sucks. And for Anderson and Troy Denning to come out and say it all sucks, that's a big deal. Okay? Foster won't say it because he was part of The Force Awakens. And The Force Awakens was a terrible story. It was poorly written. It was lazily filmed. I mean, you can make a pig look pretty, and that's exactly what, J.J. Abrams is a master at doing that. But still, it sucked. Okay, it just sucked. We didn't get... You can't trash the characters the way they were trashed. Nothing that happened made any sense. Nothing. It was just lazy SJW shit. Okay, and it turned into worse lazy SJW shit with, propaganda being puked from every scene. And then it turned into, I don't even know what Tross was. The version they chose was just, Ichibaka sent me the link to the free version of it. And I was just like, and I saw parts of the free version of Soylo, a Soy War story. They, there are people who should be jailed for cultural rape, and they all worked on these movies. Okay, full stop. I'm like, oh God, oh God, oh God. They're awful. They have nothing to do with it. There's a reason why the rumor is so hot and heavy that it's being turned into an alternate universe, because Disney can't do anything with it. And to the people complaining, why do you like this? Why? Half of you are standing there crying over seeing Luke come down the hallway like a green lightsaber whirlwind, but you're still happy with that? What the fuck? You can't have both. You either like this or you like that. You can't have both. Okay? Because they don't make any sense together. All right? They're literally mutually exclusive. You can't have one or the other. You can have one or the other. You can't have both. Because there's no common, there's no line. There's no it doesn't make any sense. Period. Okay. And again, all right, the thing, and of course, let's go back and talk about Star Wars Theory. The Star Wars Theory did the Vader fan film that everybody liked. And it was, I mean, it was a good, it was good. My personal favorite. Oh, I agree with that. I mean, the Heir to the Empire was a much better story as a whole. You see everybody growing up. You see everybody as an adult. You see them with everything they went through. Every scar you have. And George Lucas would agree with me on this. Every scar you have, everything that has hurt you, that you've had to muscle through, and trust me, I know, it made you who you are, and you should bear it with pride. You should bear it as a symbol of not only your survival, but your adulthood. Okay, that trach scar, the chest tubes, the little scar I have on my stomach, that's all part of who I am. Okay, when you get to Heir to the Empire, Han and Leia, after everything they've been through, the torture, the carbonite, all that stuff, Leia seeing Alderaan being blown up, losing her family, Han suffering through torture, agonies and all that. They didn't just fold up like origami and get all emotionally bent out of shape. They bore those scars, they bore those wounds like grown-ups do. They like responsible adults. That is who they became. Luke the same way. He had a responsibility to rebuild the Jedi. All right, he didn't have, he had to get to the point where he could accept who he really was. And Leia too, and she did. If you've ever read Tatooine Ghost, she actually gets to understand how Anakin grew up. You get to the point where you see her as a grown-up woman. You got to accept the things that happen to you and who you are. That's what makes you who you are. The past, you can't control it. It happened. You can't go back in time and fix things. Okay, but it makes you the adult you are, and it matters as much as anything else, because the past will designate a future. All right, that's what a lot of this is about. And what am I going with this? It seems like these people who wanted to reset Star Wars, who wanted to, like Pablo Hidalgo and the rest of these people, they understand it. They don't like it. And the reason why is, but then you think, what kind of families did they come from? I guarantee you, Pablo's family, mom and dad were divorced. I guarantee you that daddy, if he was a communist, didn't do anything to work to help the family. In fact, $1,000 to a donut says daddy was never around. Okay, once it got to Canada, he went, probably sat at coffee shops, extolling Marxism, while mom was working a job trying to raise the kids. Because that story in families like that is played out everywhere. okay? And maybe both of his parents did. I don't know. But the fact that his reaction is so viscerally angry about Luke, and he's made it. I mean, Pablo's made it very publicly known because I've talked about it. But it's just like for the prequels, it just screams mad. He's mad at his parents. All right. He doesn't understand Star Wars. He doesn't understand how this all works. He doesn't understand what George Lucas was trying to create. If you're raised without any values, if you're raised without any moral compass, and what he said about Star Wars theory and fans in general, said about me, what he said about Jeremy Griggs, what he said about Drunk 3PO, what he said about Ethan Van Sciver, all of us, because he's gone after every one of us, screams very, 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 very unhealthy mindset. What he wants for Star Wars is a very unhealthy mindset, but we've talked about this before. LGBTQ radical weirdos and radical feminazis like Kennedy, they're not all right in the head. Okay, they're really not. I mean, and he fits in right in with that group of demented, mentally incompetent mental patients. He doesn't have any idea who he really is. Oh yeah, Darth Platypus, I know. I mean but again, that speaks to Hidalgo and the story groups and that part of the culture of Lucasfilm, because I'm not saying everything at Lucasfilm is bad. You can be an SJW and hate what you saw in the sequel trilogy, okay? The fact that Hal Hickel, who's a well-known lefty, on Twitter, he's the animation supervisor for The Mandalorian, but he doesn't have anything to do with the story, all right? He doesn't have anything to do with the message. The message is who you are. Where did you come from? Does your past define you? And when you're watching The Mandalorian and you see that Din Djarin was a foundling, that Grogu was a foundling, that, you got Boba Fett being challenged on his own origins by Bo-Katan. You got all this stuff going on. Your past defines who you are, and it also defines your future, okay? Whether you like it or not. And again, you can't go back in time and fix it. And it to me, it's just very interesting. Hey, Maze, how you doing? Yeah, please like this, please, please, please. But anyway, I'm hanging out, just sitting here going, and Maze, TC Cruiser will agree with me on this. I think that this just proves that Hidalgo is a very sad guy. In fact, TC Cruiser and I had a debate with somebody on one of Jeremy's Gigs and Gamers videos, and I swear to God it was him. I mean, we're both like, it has to be. But you gotta remember, Pablo is a well-known internet. He trolls YouTube channels. He bullies fans. In fact, there's a story out there, somebody told me a long time ago, that he bullied a fan so badly that the fan tried to kill himself. All right? And I believe it. That Pablo can't help himself. He can't help it. Everything that comes out of his mouth is political. I mean, his whole life. But when you're raised that way, everything that you do is political. All right? Think about the Soviet Union. Okay, you're going out for a picnic. Again, I heard this story before. Going out for a picnic with the group on the floor that you live in, where you all share one bathroom. I've been in Eastern Bloc apartments, okay? When I lived in Berlin, the guy I was dating lived in one of the old tenements. And he had a nice apartment, but there was one bathroom for the entire floor. And I was like, hey, Carl M., Merry Christmas to you too. I was like, but that's how they lived. You go out to a picnic in the Soviet Union, like in Moscow, one of the big parks, one roll of toilet paper for everybody. Okay, that's how these people live. Now, does Pablo live like that? No, of course not. I mean, look at him. He's not starving. I wouldn't leave him alone with my dog, for crying out loud, nor would I leave him alone with my horse. But they want the rest of us to live like that. And they, like, if you go into, the book that came out before The Rise of Skywalker, and it describes how Wedge Antilles is living. He lives in a teeny tiny house, probably no bigger than my kitchen island. He and his wife have a teeny tiny garden. And that was his, I guess, benefit for being one of the finest pilots for the Alliance. All right, that's how they want us all to live. That was intentional, okay? And he seems very happy living like a serf. All right? But that's what they want. Okay, they think that's what people want. There's no the thing about everything the story group has done. The thing about that Pablo has gone out of his way to is to take the spirituality out of Star Wars. One of the things that I love about Star Wars, and I'm not that big of a Star Trek fan because there's an soul to it. It's all based on science, and science is to me how it happens. But why it happens is more important. Okay, that's where faith, philosophy, that kind of thing comes into play. Whether you're a Christian, Jewish, Muslim, pagan, Buddhist, Taoist, Hindu, whatever. There's the thing that Star Wars is that it talks about what's inside and how important that really is. And that's what Kennedy, that's what Hidalgo have tried to trash with it. Okay, they've tried to take away the soul, the heart and soul, the force itself. You got Charles Soule. If you've read that part that was put out there of our Chris, and she's putting her hair down, it's kind of a sexy scene, and she can hear the force like a song. It's like, what? I don't want to read that. First off, it's terribly written. Second of all, it's not Star Wars. Even the name isn't something I think that Lucas would have picked out. But let's go back to Pablo. He's been a troll against fans for a long, long time. We know that he went after the EU to get rid of it, and I suspect I know why. I'd love to know his parents' backstory, because whether you like it or not, Mom and Dad, you're the reason why your kids turn out the way they do. Okay, all right. Now, I do believe in the bad seed. I also believe that at the age of 12, if a kid doesn't know right from wrong, and they've actually been, because there's so many psychological issues going on. There's sociopathy, there's psychopathy, all kinds of things that, whatever. But still, ultimately, if your kids turn out to be shit, it's your fault, okay? And when you've got nihilism going on and you teach your kids there's no God, there's no reason to have faith in anything, well, it's okay to sing songs. That's, all right, you guys all remember, let's go back to our British history. The Roundheads. Oliver Cromwell's. They took away basically Christmas, all the celebrations, singing, dancing, music. We got the Taliban, which is fanaticism, extremism. I don't like it. I don't like it in any way, shape, or form. Music and that kind of thing has every bit of meaning to cultural expressions of faith as anything else does. Okay. The problem I have with the Bar Chris is how it's written, who she is. The fact that the Force, in this sense, is not what Lucas said it was. There's something to, you remember, I think it was Isaiah, and God tells him to go up to the front of the cave and listen for his voice. And he hears the wind, he hears all this stuff, and then he hears a tiny, tiny little sound. That should be the Force. Okay? That should be the Force. All right, not a song. I mean, it's just, and that is the thing that I think Lucas brought into when he was creating Star Wars, is that it wasn't obvious. It wasn't obvious to Luke right away. The Force, remember when he asked that? It wasn't obvious to, I don't think any of the young, it wasn't obvious to Anakin when he was a kid. He was just a pod racer, okay? And then we find out how he was born. We find out that he's a special kid, but he didn't realize he was special. It wasn't like, you see this, beautiful angel in white with long flowing, platinum hair going, you are the chosen one. You didn't see that. You didn't see some god from Mount Olympus approaching him. He didn't know. You don't know. You don't know until you open yourself up and get rid of all the noise. The things you think are what you're looking for are not, in fact, what you're really looking for. It's that tiny, 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 insignificant sound, and you'll hear it here. Okay. And that's what's wrong with the High Republic. But again, when you've got Pablo sitting there wanting dinosaurs in the High Republic and saying it's anti-war, which it's called Star Wars, you fucking moron. You're not going to get the subtlety of not only being a Jedi, but you're not going to get the faith of it. Because let's talk about faith. Master Yoda is a being of faith. Obi-Wan Kenobi is a being of faith. Qui-Gon Jinn is. Qui-Gon Jinn looks at the world differently, but he still has faith in the Force. All right. Shakti, all the rest of them. Plo Koon, you name it. Anakin is a man of faith, and then he loses his faith. And that's when he gets seduced by the dark side. All right. He turns his faith not to the Force, but man. And that's the biggest mistake he made. Luke learns to be a man of faith. Leia learns to be a woman of faith. Han, the doubter, and on and on and on and on. Okay? There's no faith in the Force in any of the characters that they created, because the creators themselves don't have any. Okay? J.J. Abrams, no. Larry Kasdan, no. None of these people do. To be a person who understands the sacrifice, you have to let go of the what ifs and whatevers, and that's what being a Jedi is all about. And these people, these nihilists, and they are nihilists, don't understand it. But if you're a left-winger, you have to be a nihilist. Again, you put your trust in man, not a higher thing. Yeah, I might do that. Actually, I might do that. There's a book I'll show you guys. It's was written by a Christian minister about that, and it's very simplistic. I'm Catholic, so it's got to be a little more complicated for me to get to me, but it's a very interesting book. I bought it. I'm glad I bought it. But anyway, I want to talk so, why is Pablo so jealous, and this is what caused this public brain fart, or that it got public, and hopefully he's embarrassed by it. He's jealous, and like Cameron Pasha said, he knows that everything that he had put together is now dead, and Jon Favreau killed it. Jon Favreau wrote the last episode. Okay, Jon Favreau is a fan. He loves it. He talks to George Lucas. He has Lucas in on it with him. He is, I mean, and I've said this before, and then I'm gonna let you guys go because I've almost talked for an hour. You can't make a franchise like Star Wars without loving it. I almost expect you could do that with Marvel because the spiritual elements really don't exist in Marvel, and I personally think it's all stupid. But I'm not a superhero person. I mean, the only one I ever liked was, Christopher Reeves and Batman, or Superman, and that's it. Oh, and I did like The Dark Knight, but there was a real depth to The Dark Knight that a lot of people miss. Anyway, but oh, Merry Christmas to you, Sakori. Oh, we had a good Christmas. It was kind of quiet. I'm not gonna say why, but let's put it this way: we're not going a whole lot of places right now. Think. And we're sequestered here, and I don't like it. But we gotta wait for something to come up, and then hopefully we'll be able to just go on and live our lives. Because I haven't gone shooting in a while, and I really want to. Anyway, so what was I talking? Okay, the thing about it, in the end, is because now I think I lost my train of thought. Thing about it in the end is when you look at what Hidalgo was doing and how this came public, because his tweets are protected, and he still has retired having fun in his bio. If you don't think there's something going on, and let's say like next week or tomorrow we find out that yes, they did force him into retirement. Oh, Darth Platypus. We have ways and means. We have ways and means. If we find out that he's gone, then everything's different. Rar. I think Maze knows what I'm talking about too. If we find out he's gone, and somebody could come up and say, hey, look, they forced him into retirement, or he really is retired, then it makes everything different. Then the conversation changes. We've been talking a long time, Doomcock, Midnight's Edge, all these guys have been talking a long time about Kennedy being gone. Is she or is she not gone? I maintain that there is no leadership at Lucasfilm, that they're keeping her away from what Favreau's doing, and that's the new, because it's been so successful. He's mapping out a new whole thing. And if Pablo, and I'm going to say this, so listen close, because Disney's been forcing people who've been there a long time out. And Pablo's been at Lucasfilm for 20 or so years. He's been such a disaster. Everything he's touched has been a disaster. The books, the authors, the ideas, getting rid of the EU. Now they're like mining the EU. And I'm one of those people that, if they brought the EU back completely, I'd be happy, but they're not going to. They're not, right now they can't anymore. I don't think. They'd have to literally just wipe everything out. And the way it looks to me is that they're taking things that worked, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and a few other things. I mean, Boba Fett's chain code. Okay, a lot of these things, and from the EU, and turning it into something else. Hey, Dave, how you doing? Dave Pensack in the house. They're turning into a lot of things that are might be better. So I'm, because you can always make things better, and there were parts of the EU that I didn't like. But there's a sense, in my opinion, just watching Mandalorian season 1 and 2, and going, there's a different idea behind all this. There really, really is. Oh, I know. I think I've talked about that, and I think this might be another video once we hear more about Thrawn, and where he's going with this in Ahsoka. But I think Thrawn and Gideon are probably rivals. Okay. I don't think Thrawn has anything to really do with what Gideon's doing unless Gideon... Oh, I think I think we already have. I mean, I don't know anybody who hasn't mocked it. I mean, everybody. It doesn't matter what part of the Phantom Menace you're on. That's garbage. The High Republic is garbage. But I think Gideon and Grand Admiral Thrawn are going to be rivals. Oh, I loved it. I thought it was great, and I thought it was very Jedi. I don't. You have to remember is that Luke is a far more powerful Jedi than Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon had just pushed him away. Obi-Wan would have just force pushed him. Luke went that much further, but you got to remember, he's the son of Anakin Skywalker. Now think if Anakin had never gotten hurt, never lost his legs, all right, just his arm, to Dooku, what kind of Jedi he would have been. And you just saw it in Luke. When I watched that whole scene, I saw something that harkened back to Skywalker, to his father, and not to Vader. Not to Vader, but to Anakin. All right, because I tend to look at Vader and Anakin as being two different people. And I think that's how you should look at it. I don't know, that's how I look at it. But just the way he used his, the form he used with his lightsaber was far more reminiscent of his father than his father in his prime as a Jedi than anything. And I think that was another message. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to leave you guys with this. You got Hidalgo attacking fans, then trying to hide the evidence. Okay, but, I got the screenshots. He even used the reply that he made in reference to Star Wars Theory as his cover. And then when he realized he got caught, well, then he, took it down and put a picture of two people I don't even know who they are. Anyway, just probably some archaic, weird pop culture reference no one cares about. But well, you can see it. I could see it. I could see his bio, retired, having fun. What the All right, I'm going to say it. He's probably trolling, but still. And I'll tell you something. In the last few months, a lot of people in his pay bracket got forced out. Think about it. But what about the title of the last episode? The Rescue. Obviously, it's about rescuing Grogu. But if you peel it back and you see Luke showing up, it's about rescuing the franchise. And that was a big middle finger to Hidalgo, to the story group, to even people that actually worked on the show, like Hal Hickel, and to Kathleen Kennedy. All right? I don't think anybody but maybe George Lucas I don't know. I don't see her. Right, Corey. I don't see her running Lucasfilm right now. She is probably spitting nails, you know, screaming when Luke showed up. And she was probably, you can imagine. I'm gonna say this. Do you guys remember the look on her face when she was, when she had to say Hayden was coming back for the Obi-Wan show? Yeah, so this is why when I looked at that, part of me, a small part of me, thinks he might not be there. And I want everybody to understand that it's just not me just saying, oh, blah, blah, blah. No, there's reasoning there. Because, SJWs don't think you need money. They don't care about money. They really, really don't. How many Antifa jackasses do we know are red diaper babies themselves? Mommy and daddy pay for everything. They pay their bail. They, pay for their car. You know what I'm saying? They pay for their cell phones and all the rest of that crap. Hidalgo's that kind of person. Money doesn't matter. It's always been there. All right. He doesn't understand you have to earn it. And everything he's created, because he's not a creative person, he's a political hack, has failed. Okay? He didn't create Star Wars The Old Republic. He didn't create Darth Revan. He didn't create Darth Nihilus. He didn't create Kreia or Bastila Shan. Somebody else did. He sure as hell didn't create Luke Skywalker or Anakin Skywalker. One of those awful billionaires did, named George Lucas. All right? You have to love what you do when you're a creative person to make it good so everybody else will love it. Okay? I know that when I was a singer. I know that writing. I know that when I'm, decorating a tree. I know that. You have to love it for it to be beautiful. If you don't love it, it won't be beautiful. Okay? As an artist. Okay? You don't create art to send a message and think it's going to be successful. I don't know if you guys have ever seen, Adolf Hitler had a museum of German Aryan art or something in Munich. And all of the artwork that he had up there was relevant artists who were around then. And the art was terrible because they weren't creating beautiful things. They were creating Nazi art. Okay? Doesn't really work, does it? Just like when you look at Soviet Russian art. When you look at Chinese Maoist art. There's because the basis of those philosophies are nihilistic. There is no soul to it. Okay? There's a reason why Star Wars, before Disney bought it, worked. It had a heart. It had a soul. Okay? It was about a family, and what the basis of a family is love. Every different kind of love you could think of. Agape, phileo, oh, I know, Angelique. Yeah, you've got agape love, phileo love, and eros. And every one of those things were on the screen in the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. Love is the basis. Oh, well, can you imagine? Well, you and I will talk about this in private, but, it's one of those things where you're like, damn, Pinochet, you missed him by a day. Damn you. Damn you, you jerk. I'm sorry I said it, but I had to. What? Oh yeah, I mean, but see, that's their basis. I mean, again, I dare somebody to actually go and research his family life, his mother and his father. I will bet you will find a ripped apart family. The father, again, being a lazy commie. Mom, maybe she was a lazy commie too. Okay, but this is what you get. These people, these hardcore leftists, are notoriously unable to fend for themselves. Okay, I mean, Hidalgo living on his own as a young man. I mean, I don't see it. All right, I really, really don't. I don't. You know. But again, there you go. So, you know, but when I was going back to what Star Wars is about, the first thing, it's about love. It's about sacrifice. And all the different kinds of love. I went through the whole thing. It's about sacrifice. It's about courage. It's about fear. It's about mastering your fear. It's about skepticism and doubt, and about how the miracle of the reality of what's deeper in the world can change a person's perspective. Okay, you know, part of the reason why Han and Leia work so well is because it was that love, that connection they have together, from Empire to Return of the Jedi. You know, when she saves him, that's a big goddamn deal. Okay, okay. He literally, you know, you know what I'm saying? This is the faithless, a man who has no faith in anything. You know, who when you start digging and start pulling the layers of onion, can't believe anybody would waste their time looking for him. And yet there his friends were. Agape. Agape love means you want the best for the person, the object of your affection. All right. Phileo love is friendship. Okay, then you got eros. Okay, that ultimately is a major part of it. The solid foundation for doing the fearless thing, the courageous thing. Yeah, and you know, you know, they don't. So when you've got someone who wasn't raised to believe in anything, the sound you hear back behind me is my dog. Yes, he's going to the park soon. Just a minute. Stop it, Kojak. I'll let you out in a minute. No, he better. If he was, I'd kill him. You would see me turn into a whirling dervish. I mean, that tree is 12 feet tall behind me. If he knocked anything from that tree, he'd be hanging upside down in my garage. No, I'm kidding. I'd be really mad though. He knows better, but I've got the little Kojak controller, so when it gets out of hand, it's like, no, we're going outside to do that. You can't play like that inside. You can bound around like a big dumb dog. That's because he is kind of outside, not inside. So we have that mapped out pretty well. But anyway, you can't be a communist, a nihilist, an SJW, and understand Star Wars. You just can't. And I can't see anybody like Pablo Hidalgo liking any of it. Liking any of it. Understanding it. Because of what the foundations are. I mean, you know, anyway, that's what I want to talk about. And I'm kind of like mystified at Star Wars theory that he's shocked that Pabsy Wabsy would say anything to it like that. You know, he's been around long enough to know that Pabsy can't help himself. Pabsy will attack anybody. Pabsy's done that for as long as he's been on Twitter and on the internet. And he's a little power monger. And I just want to know what's really going on. I mean, I'd really appreciate some transparency because, if it says he's retired and he's trolling us, fine. But if he's retired because Disney said, hell, let's crack open a bottle of Clico and go, let's all share it, one down, because then it changes the dynamics. Because if he goes, oh, he ended up deleting that, here's the deal about Mark. Mark is a cool guy, and he's actually can be a really nice guy. He can also be a total dumbass. He's definitely not Luke Skywalker. He has an irrational hatred for Trump and went after Melania, which is like, why are you, what the fuck? And I'm pretty sure he got so browbeaten on Twitter that he just deleted it. And I wouldn't doubt that because he's got family in Texas who are probably like, I happen to know his brother. And we've never really talked on Facebook, but yeah. He can't help himself. But it's virtue signaling is what it is. Here's the thing about Hamill. Yeah, I ignore it too, but he's just, he's also kind of a bitter guy when you start kind of looking at things. It started after he got rejected for the role of Amadeus, or of Mozart in Amadeus, the movie, and they gave it to Tom Hulce. He's never quite hit the movie star status, even before his accident when he got his face messed up. And I really think that he's a kind of bitter that he can't get past it. But, I kind of understand. He's almost 70 years old. Do you believe that? He's seen people that he worked with get to be the biggest movie stars of all time, Harrison Ford. And he was the star of Star Wars. He was Luke Skywalker. But he's an actor, and for some reason I get mad at him. I've told him off before, and then I just kind of let it go. Carrie wasn't exactly conservative either, but I could forgive her for that. Okay, him, it gets hard. The thing about Harrison Ford is that he's a cool cat. He'll say something, but he's not insulting the fans. He's not saying stuff to piss off the fans. He realizes how big his fan base is. And oh, by the way, because he's into historical aircraft restoration and he belongs to all these groups, a lot of those people don't agree with him politically. So he has to watch. Okay, this is a very good way to always temper your enthusiasm for being a dick by reminding yourself you're a public figure. Vast majority of people don't want to hear about it and don't agree with you. Okay. And, it's just a very manly adult thing to do. Okay. And I really wish that Mark would do that. But I don't like his wife. All right. She's one of those Hollyweird feminazis. There's a long story about her and their granddaughter who Mark has never seen, which, if you guys don't know that story, their son Nathan had an affair with a stripper in San Diego. The girl got pregnant, and Mary Lou kept sending the girl emails saying, "Oh, we'll pay for the abortion." The girl almost went to do it and then said no. And there's some, mythology in the Hamill family that this girl wants money. She doesn't. She's never asked him for a dime, but, and that's kind of like a not cool thing. I mean, contrast that with people that Mark admires. You see photographs of them with their grandkids riding on their shoulders. Think about it. All right? Contrast that with that. All right? Mark is a human being. And if we were actually friends, I would tell him you need to stop. And here's the reason why. All right? Because most of those people don't want to hear it and don't agree with you. Okay? If you act cool and you're a cool customer, people admire that. You just kind of there are things that are important and there are things that aren't. Guess what? Them looking up to you as Luke Skywalker, that's important to them. All right? So remember that. My phone is dying now. And if you want, I put a video out about Pablo. Geeks and Gamers has theirs up. Drunk 3PO has his. Stephen Walton has his. I'm not really going after Star Wars theory, but it's like, dude, why are you shocked? Why do you feel bad? He's gone after all of us. And if ever any of my old subscribers remember, do you remember when he went after me about daddy hate porn? So this is Steph. Hoping someday we find out what really the fuck is going on at Lucasfilm. I'll see you around the galaxy. You too, Sakari.